All right. Welcome everybody to the May 21st When Soon show. I don't know if we're still calling it I'd like to still call it the When Soon show, but
I
um
like it. Well, I mean, it was the Leo Finance AMA, so then now it's the Inleo AMA, and unofficially it's the When Soon show.
yeah,
And
to the ones who know,
ideally,
it's the When Soon show.
exactly, you gotta be in the know to know why it's the When Soon show.
Yep.
Hopefully everyone can hear us, and we have all the right mics unmuted and all the things.
Yeah, I'm just Eric, you mind saying something real quick? I'll check your audio.
Yeah, apparently some people say that my voice is
Okay.
very low. Guys, can you hear me in the audience? Can someone tell me in the threadcast if you can hear me at the same volume as Cal and Kat, please?
Yep. Let us know. I can hear you loud and clear,
Yeah, I
both of
can hear
you.
you loud and clear.
So I think we're
I
good.
just I gotta go find the thread now. Threading.
Should be at the top of the Inleo page.
Yep.
Oh, it
Um,
was Morty who came up with the name, The Winston
Oh
Show.
no.
I
it
think,
was.
Morty, you have come up with a lot of things. I think I can't remember what, but at least two or three more things like names for things in the community.
Well, and he did the designs too. We had the backgrounds back in the day with the when soon.
Taskmaster said something's wrong with Eric's mic. He's speaking with an accent.
The thing is,
Fucking
what
rotten
accent?
American.
It's weird because sometimes I do speak with my Mexican accent like this, but sometimes I don't. I don't know what it is, but yeah.
I'll tell you what, I'm gonna have to start liking more of Cal's stuff because my like organic feed for you think Cal's threadcast would come up and no dice.
Well, don't you see
Although I got
that?
something
Don't you
else.
see my profile icon at the top of the page?
Yeah, there it is. I had to refresh. Well,
Um,
and also I was just looking at this other post. What do you got? Be kind to your leaders. What is this? Matt reminds me of the protagonist. Sorry, trying to
yeah. No, I was
switch
talking
to the other
about,
page.
well, it's kind of related. I was actually thinking about that when we were doing our little pre-show rambling. That about when soons and whatnot. But yeah, I mean Splinterlands has really every if you look at like every kind of crypto startup that's been around for any number of years in the space, the ones that are still alive at least, we've all been struggling pretty heavily. So, we were talking about that pre-show, talking about the price of Leo and whatnot. And I was thinking about, Splinterlands and some other founders that I know of. And obviously, the SPS token is kind of at all-time lows. And there's, some things that they've been talking about doing for a long time, and they've been working really hard on those things. But, that being said, it's being a crypto startup is like being a startup with amplified risk and, headaches. And you're also kind of and I also have described it in this way. You're kind of like being a public company CEO while you're still a startup. So it's like you're going through the headaches of being a startup, but you're also doing it in public. And you've got a token that's, kind of akin to like a stock price in a way. So like for someone like Matt, who's the CEO of Splinterlands, like he's got like double trouble on his plate. Because he's building a startup and he's doing it, in a way that's very public and, with the crypto ecosystem built the way that it is. And I feel a lot of those same headaches. But if you look at, a lot of different crypto startups, it's a really tough business to be in. It's definitely not an easy line of work. And I think that, most of us, people like Matt, people like me, like we could be doing other things and probably having a much easier time at life. But we choose to do this stuff because I think we love it. I don't think I think if you look at all the crypto startups that have survived more than say 1 or 2 years, the founder has to be someone who really enjoys it because it's just like headache squared. So my point of that thread was that someone shared on X, I think it was Gold Matters, to be nice to Matt, and Ahmad Manga said, "Who's Matt?" It's Yaba P Matt from Splinterlands. So Gold Matters was saying be nice to Matt because I think there's a lot of people kind of talking shit about Splinterlands, upset about, token prices and whatnot. A lot of those people tend to forget that, the crypto space is a really difficult space to build in. And also the altcoin, kind of season or altcoin market has not really heated up yet. So I think a lot of us, smaller projects with smaller market caps haven't really seen the love of the bull market. Most of that value has flown to Bitcoin. Even Ethereum is, I think 50-60% off its highs or whatever. So, it's definitely been a difficult time. I think, the past couple of years has been really, just speaking from my experience, very difficult. And then hearing constant complaints kind of gets to you. It can get under your skin. So that was the point of my thread, was be kind to your leaders, because it is building in crypto is literally like, it's literally building a startup squared. It's you get the highs of building it are a lot higher than building a normal startup, and the lows of it are a lot lower than building a normal startup.
Well, that's the beauty of it though, right? Because you're essentially in that, you know, scenario, building a startup, like you said, but you're doing it in a complete, well, not complete, but as close as we've seen in our history, transparent environment, right? Most startups, no one knows what's going on behind the scenes or what's going on with their books or whatever that is. You know what I mean? They're only sharing that stuff if they're basically doing a capital raise or things like that. So, like I said, it's literally like building a startup, like essentially on steroids, because you have that transparency. Like everyone literally can see what's going on day to day, and most of everything is on the chain. So yeah, it's definitely a more volatile experience, for lack of a different word. So
Absolutely. Yeah, I mean, Tass said there's no mark to market with startups unless they go for a new round of funding. With crypto, it's there for everyone to see, which doesn't reflect the value of the project, which is exactly right. I mean, if startups were mark to market in real time, literally, I mean, if you think about how crazy crypto is, and the best way to do it is to think about the markets, both private and public, going like 10 or 15 years ago, and compare it to how crypto is today. Markets used to be, 9 a.m. to 3 p.m. And it's just like banking hours essentially. And then when you look at crypto, it's literally 24/7, 365, mark to market every second of every day. And by the way, it's not just public companies, it's companies that would normally be private as a startup. And like Taff said, like you would get your startup would get valued maybe one time a year when you go for more funding. So it's not like, it's unlike anything I think that we've ever seen before, which means that there's a lot of value here, but it also means that there's a lot of, trials and tribulations. But, I'm reading, I mentioned it last week too, but I'm reading this book by Tony Robbins, his latest book about finance. And it kind of focuses on alternative investment, forms of investing. And he talks a lot about startups, and investing in startups and GPs. But he's talking obviously about like private equity. So he's talking about, how can you get access to these private deals, where you can invest in startups, and invest in the people who invest in startups. The beautiful thing about crypto is that you guys are able to invest, all of us are able to invest in various startups, whether it's, Splinterlands or others, or Leo or, whatever. You're able to invest in startups in a way that normally only private investors, accredited investors or people who had a lot of net worth and the right connections could normally only get access to those types of investments. So crypto has opened up this entire world of kind of startup investing to the average retail investor, which obviously brings the ups and downs of it, because you can invest in things that normally you couldn't invest in, which means that you can invest in things that are very early on in their life cycle.
so I think with all that said, I'll speak for the community on a whole when I say to Cal, when?
And on behalf
When
of the
moon?
whole Leo team, I say soon.
Exactly. It's crazy too, though, that anyone can invest in a startup essentially. And, granted, things are different in other countries, but here in the US, where they like to lock us down as much as possible with financial choices when it comes to investing, because obviously we have a lot more freedom when it comes to like lending and just monetary transactions. But yeah, like you don't have to be an accredited investor to invest in a crypto startup. And, I personally have felt that pain where there's been things years ago I wanted to invest in and I couldn't because I wasn't an accredited investor. Um, and the worst is when you see one of those things like turn out to be like a very profitable company and you could have been like an angel investor. It's like, son of a, and it's just like, thank you, government, for protecting me from myself because clearly I don't know what the freak I'm doing.
Yeah. I mean, a big example for me that's relatively recent is Starlink. There's a lot of people who are able to invest in,
Mm,
SpaceX and Starlink, um, in the private markets, but that isn't something that's available to people like, us. And imagine if they had like a crypto asset where you could buy into, the early stages of Starlink, like before they even deployed any Starlink satellites. Um, and they did like a crowdfunding round where people could buy, a piece of that, people like us, rather than all these VCs just getting richer than they already are. You know, it's it's a pretty insane world that the best, and that's what this basically Tony Robbins' entire book is basically about, how there's all these private investment, vehicles that way outperform the rest of the market. And he kind of unveils like how all these people are just kind of printing money behind the scenes by investing in these things, whether it's sports
yep.
teams or startups, or even investing in like GPs who then go out and invest in startups. It's there's a whole world of investing that the retail market doesn't even know about and doesn't have any access to. And I think one of the beauties of crypto is that it opens us up to, now you can invest in a startup. Like, for me, I invested in Thorchain, before they even had a real product. So, buying that under 40 cents and then just believing that the team was going to deliver on this grand vision, was akin to buying into some kind of startup. And then obviously, the token ended up going like 50x from there in the last bull run. And it turned out to be one of the best investments I ever made. But without crypto, without, the rails that have been built, investing in a startup like that would have been locked down to only the super rich. So it's a new world, and I'm very happy to be building in this space. But that being said, it's a very treacherous place to build in. Like I said, it's the highs and the lows are literally just exponential in this space.
So, speaking of all that, I think it actually kind of segues into what a lot of people are expecting to be like the new hot sector of the crypto space, and that's RWAs. Anything that's focused on tokenizing real world assets. And I've recently kind of like thrown small investments at a couple of, tokens related to that, just to have some skin in the game in case that sector does take off. And the irony of that is, and the funny part is one of the coins, the ticker is SMT, and it makes me think of, wow, that was the whole reason I was all about, well, Steam back in the day, now Hive was, this idea of smart media tokens and how you could tokenize everything. And I'm like, holy shit. I was like, this is going to be the blockchain of blockchains. And obviously nothing, you know, came to be with that. And at the same time, probably before its time, because, we're several bull bear cycles in crypto, and now you're starting to get this talk of RWAs, and BlackRock obviously has put money into that space, and has um, kind of inked deals with a couple of operators. So that's going to be super interesting, and I think that segues and delves further into that opportunity for people where now not only can you invest in startups, but now you can get access to real world assets through, you know, tokens that people in the past would not have. So that's going to be pretty cool. I can't wait for that. I mean, we're probably a decade out before we see like, mass um, tokenization of real world assets, but I think that's going to create a lot of liquidity and ease of use and access for a lot of people that don't have it now. And that should be an interesting, you know, life cycle in terms of the beginning of it and the adoption of it. And maybe it'll become, maybe nothing will come of it, but I feel like that could essentially be the next like crazy thing in crypto.
Well, it's one of the biggest narratives right now is exactly that, how real world assets are going to be the fuel of this bull market. Of course, people are also saying that the whole narrative about Nvidia and artificial intelligence is going to explode. But personally, and probably 60-70% of my portfolio is made of real world asset tokens or projects that of course are just the first ones of their class. Some of them have been around for a few years already. So it's not going to be that easy for them to it's not going to be that easy for people to think, oh, this can explode, because we are usually kind of used to saying, hey, if it's not a new project, then it's not going to explode. But all of the real world assets, like I don't want to mention names, but there are probably around more than 10 that already have a real life use case, that have regulations, that have a community, that are just ready to explode in this cycle. So yep, I'm pretty bullish on RWA in general.
Yeah,
It makes sense.
yeah. Well, BlackRock has been putting out for the last couple of years an annual report about the crypto space, and basically one of the core ideas that they talk about is real world assets and the tokenization of everything, which is obviously, having their weight behind that is a big deal. So it's definitely going to be a driving narrative going forward. I think it's only going to get more and more relevant. Just the ease of transacting, the ease of access that it brings. I think if you look at society for the last 20, 30 years, it's really been just a growth of access. So the average person got access to better transportation, better information, better healthcare, better everything. Essentially, it's just a democratization of access, and real world assets, kind of push that to the next level in terms of finance. Taskmaster said Leodex needs to build synthetics into the platform to allow investments in derivatives of some of this stuff. So the beauty of Leodex is that we don't actually have to build anything into the platform other than the essentially the rails to interact with things like Maya protocol, which it already has. And then, down the line, we're going to integrate Thorchain and Chainflip. And, by doing this, Thorchain and Maya already have synthetic assets in different forms. And I think it's actually been discussed that Thorchain would one day have, synthetic forms of like, gold and potentially other things, because, using the base layer protocol, you can kind of build some really interesting products on top of that. So, the beauty of Leodex is that we're just positioning to benefit from whatever they end up developing, long term. So, some of the things that are coming to Maya are like streaming swaps, and Thorchain aggregation, and we kind of automatically adopt the value essentially that they're building. Thorchain is working on, order books and futures with perpetual swaps. So, and various forms of perps and derivatives. So, Leodex ultimately just benefits from being positioned in the right place. And then all we have to do is build it, build the front end for the back end that they're already building. And building a good front end, I think, is something that our team is uniquely good at. So we're just going to keep getting better and better at building better front ends. So by positioning ourselves so that and that was kind of the topic of this AMA as well, is that the future of Web3. We're positioned really nicely with Inleo being on the Hive blockchain and benefiting from the growth of SocialFi. And then we're also positioned very nicely with Leodex being built on Maya protocol right now, obviously integrating Thorchain and Chainflip later. We're very nicely positioned on that front. for this multi-chain decentralized exchange future that I think is just getting started. When you look at the trading volume of Thorchain, it's continuing to grow. And I think that is just it's gonna be an up and to the right type of dynamic, because the need and desire for decentralized exchanges has only increased with time, and I think it will only keep increasing. So I like our positioning a lot. I put out a tweet and a thread yesterday talking about the positioning of the Leo token, being at the center of SocialFi and the multi-chain DEX, movement. So I'm very happy with that overall positioning. Godfish asks, aren't you afraid that Leodex depends on somebody else's solution and will to innovate? It's merely a front end and access point, isn't it? Yeah, it is. And that means that you get the highs and the lows of it. So, being that Leodex is just a front end for Maya, and then obviously for Thorchain and Chainflip later, we are kind of, we're only as good as the protocol we're built on. That being said, I think it's pretty obvious that Thorchain, Maya, and Chainflip and whatever may come in the future in terms of cross-chain dexes is only going to grow. So I'm very convinced about the narrative, and I'm very convinced about those teams that are out there building in this space. So yeah, I'm not worried about the fact that we are just a front end for those protocols, because I don't think those protocols are going anywhere.
Yeah, I mean, if you think about it, a lot of projects like it's
Eric, I think your camera turned off on the
oh
Zoom.
that's
Eric faded to black.
oh that's weird. Yeah.
He's back.
I actually thought you were
Yeah.
AFK, and then I heard you talking, and I was like, wait, he's still
Yeah.
here.
Threw me as well.
No. Okay, what I was gonna say is that the protocol is important, but it's also about how you sell the protocol. So yes, some people could say, oh, but it's not your product, it's just the front end. Yeah, but if you think about it, if you put enough features and enough things on top of it, like people go on Facebook not because they like the code behind Facebook. They just like how Facebook sells interactions. They just like how Facebook sells, I don't know, how can they browse cat pictures on the internet. So it's the same here. It's all about how you present how people swap, how you present how people can interact, I don't know, with perpetual dexes, etc. So I don't think it's a problem, but I mean that's just my opinion.
You talking about the cow freeze?
No, I'm still here.
Oh, wow. You were just very stoic. When Eric, when you were mentioning like how to's or whatever, and talking about just like Google, it made me think of YouTube. And um, one of the ways that we can attract more attention to Inleo is actually through YouTube, and basically because at the end of the day, YouTube's a search engine. That's what people forget. Like they think like, oh, social media, and they look at it almost like, you would posting videos on, TikTok, or posting reels on Facebook, or, posting on Instagram. But at the end of the day, YouTube is a search engine, because when you type something in Google, you get results. A lot of times in those answers, you get videos. What are those videos to? They're on YouTube. You don't really get videos other places. It's always first YouTube. Why? Because Google owns YouTube. And even when you search for things on YouTube, literally like it's so anyone that's doing things on YouTube that's involved with Inleo, like you literally can make a video about something specific about crypto, like something even popular, like how to XYZ in the crypto space, right? And then in that video, obviously either talk about Inleo or, link to Inleo in some way or use Inleo. But I was just thinking, like it popped in my head when you talked about, kind of like when people are searching things, and um, just food for thought for anyone that is posting content on YouTube already in regards to crypto. Just remember, at the end of the day, YouTube's a search engine. So the more specific your title is, then the higher hit rate will have when someone searches that question. Um, and it's just a way to get views and then potentially push more people or bring attention to Inleo. So just random little FYI.
Yes, I 100% agree on that. But also, screw you too.
Oh yeah, that's why, like I said, leverage it for, our benefit. Um, especially since you can embed those in Leo posts. I saw a question earlier, Cal, that someone asked in regards to just in Leo functionality, and it talked about the reputation system, and it said, a while back there was talk about, kind of revamping how the reputation system works as opposed to just, being based on the upvotes, kind of like the basic Hive system, and if there was any whatever progress with that, or if it's still on the table or anything like that.
Yeah, that's a good question. I have an algorithm that I designed for to essentially replace the reputation system, and it's based more around engagement. And then there's the critical feature of deterioration. So, when you look at the reputation system that's on Hive right now, and obviously that's the one that we, feed to you on Inleo, that reputation system is actually just based on how many, it's basically based on the value of the upvotes you've received over the lifetime of your account. And I think we all pretty much know and can agree that it's a pretty bad system for showing the reputation of a user. There's a handful of users that, without naming any names, that have really high rep scores, from the legacy chain and from Hive. And those rep scores are solely based around, self upvoting, bid bots and all sorts of other, things that have been, a part of the history of this blockchain. But yeah, I mean, it's the rep score is entirely based around how many the value of the upvotes you've received over the lifetime of your account. And I think the second critical issue with it is that there's no deterioration of the score. So, if you were active 5 years ago and you got enough upvotes to get to an 80 rep score, which is very high, you could leave. You could have been completely absent over the last 5 years, and come back, and you still have an 80 rep score. And it really just doesn't. It really just doesn't say much about your account. It doesn't say much about you as a person and as a user. So the system that I kind of designed, and obviously we haven't implemented it yet, is based around engagement, and it also has that critical piece of deteriorating. So, you could build a really high rep score, and then if you leave for 5 years, your rep score will continually decline until you come back and start engaging again. It's not going to like decline to zero, for example, but it would start deteriorating. So it would say like, oh, this person, has a high rep score, but their rep score keeps going down because they're not very active. And it actually would kind of encourage you to come back and be active on a regular basis. So I think it adds some cool gamification. I also think it could get adopted by other UIs, and I would gladly open up the API for it and have every UI on Hive actually switch to that reputation score. It would be centered around comments, replies to comments, threads that you've made, replies to other people's threads, stake in Hive Power, stake in Leo Power, blog posts, upvotes, general curation activities. So it's kind of a collection of all these metrics. And then it has that key element of, if you're not active, if some of these things aren't happening on a regular basis, then your reputation score will actually go down over time. Just to signal that you're, not active. So it is, in my opinion, it's a much better score. And I think we would do it on, a scale of 0 to 100. So your score would start at 0. And then as soon as you start getting active, your score would start increasing. And then, you could take like, perhaps like the most engaged user would be like 100 score. And what that would mean is, they're very actively creating content, actively engaging with content on the chain, etc. So Yeah, I think it would be a much better indicator. Like you could imagine, there's some people out here that have, say a 80 rep score, versus some people that have a 60 or 70 rep score. And a lot of the people with 70 rep score have a much higher engagement rate than the people with an 80 rep score. So is that really telling us much about, the reputation of that user, or is it just telling us that they've received a lot of upvotes or they haven't received a lot of upvotes in the past? So uh, and I think my rep score is like 81 or 82. And it's really, I mean, I've been obviously on the blockchain for a while and posting for, I don't even know, 8 years or something now. So obviously my rep score might say something about me, but there's plenty of people out there with a similar rep score that aren't active at all.
Facts. I've been stuck at 78, I think, for like 2 years now.
You know, thinking about two things. The first one is Taskmaster. I know you have the Lions Den show on Fridays. I think that we could talk a little bit about how what is value and what it really means to actually provide value in the blockchain, and why, this conversation about the bitbots and who deserves to get votes and who doesn't deserve to get votes, etc., etc. I have a hot take, but it's not for this show. So if you would have me, I would like to talk about that. And I forgot the other thing that I was going to say. Sorry about that.
That's because that first teaser was such fire.
Yeah.
It overwhelmed your thought process.
Yeah, no, seriously, I actually want to dive on that right now, but it's not relevant. So,
Come
but
on, Task. Got to have him on the line. Bring him in the Lions Den. Put him on the hot seat.
yeah.
Put him in the cage with the Lions. That's how you earn
Yes,
Task's respect. You got to go into the cage with the lion.
I will. I will. It's yeah.
Yeah, related question. Alok Kumar asked, we're going to have a bug-free Leo UI by the end of May, right? So obviously kind of related to talking about the development of something like a rep score. And I saw Mitch put a funny meme as a reply to that. So yes, the goal is to be bug-free, which actually means be 99% bug-free, because you can never really be 100%. I mean, with really any software, you're never going to be 100% bug-free. There's going to be some level of bugs, even for the best products out there. I mean, I was using what was I using the other day? Well, I've been having a lot of issues with Discord lately, but there was another app I was using. I think it was either Instagram or Twitter. I don't remember. But I ran into a bug, and it's like, an app that's been around for over a decade, has billions of dollars backing it, and hundreds of developers, probably tens of thousands of developers, in some cases, can still have bugs. So really, the goal is to get 99% uptime and 99% bug free. And by the end of May, we've been making actually really incredible progress on this. If I pull up our GitHub, I can give you the exact numbers. But the by the end of May, I've told the devs that I want every single listed bug that I've found and that you guys have found and I've put in the GitHub to be cleared out. So we should be at 0 logged bugs, which means that the only bugs that remain are ones that we don't know about. And when I say that, I've spent a lot of time testing the UI and testing it from, I've got like an Android phone, I've got a PC, I've got a MacBook, I got an iPhone, and I'm testing every login method, every type of, and also tablets like iPad, testing every login method, testing every device size, every device type, and then also asking you guys to test on all of your various devices and types to find all the edge cases so that I can log all the bugs and then get them all fixed by the end of the month. That's been really a core focus for the last, for the last 2 months, but really intensely for the last like 2 weeks. We've been like very intensely focused on this. So, in the month of May so far, we've fixed 41 logged bugs. And by the way, that's just like the big bugs. That doesn't really include like the small little things. Like sometimes we'll see something kind of relatively small that's broken and we'll just fix it really quick without logging it. A good example is Taskmaster reported that he couldn't put emojis in polls, and we just fixed that really quick. So it doesn't even really count on that bigger list. This is more like the bigger ticket items. So, we fixed 41 so far, and there's only 18 logged bugs left. And we've got 10 days left. So I mean, obviously we're going to find more bugs. And as we fix some things, it's like a mechanic, you take the bumper off and then you find that, 3 other things were broken that you didn't know about before you took the bumper off. So even though it's logged that we've got 18 bugs, there's more likely like 30 bugs by the time we start fixing all that stuff. But I'm 100% confident we're going to finish this May list by the end of May. And my public service announcement is that if you guys find bugs, please report them in #feedback because we are going to keep fixing things as fast as we possibly can. And if we're able to log them sooner than later, we can get them all done by the end of this month. And like I said, the goal that I've set for the developers is 99% bug free by May 31st, which basically means that when you use Inleo, finding a bug and finding like a major issue that impedes your experience should be a rare event. It should be something that happens, maybe once a week at the very most, where you like have to refresh the page because something didn't load correctly, for example. So, throughout the last 2 months, we've pushed literally no new features. It's been all bug fixes. And there's been hundreds of bug fixes. So it's been really difficult, but the product, I think, using Leo today is much, much better than it was a few months ago. And Taskmaster's bringing up polls and how they're not working. That's entirely relying on half SQL. So we're still waiting for half SQL to sync, and we literally can't do anything other than wait. So things like, and things like that, that may break in the future and go down. And that's just a function of right up to like node issues on the blockchain. It's like, in terms of what we have control over, the experience of Inleo should be 99% bug free. So that is the goal I've set by, obviously 10 days from today would be May 31st. So after May 31st, we'll get back to adding features. And while we do that, so I've been talking about this mountain of technical debt that we've built up. The Inleo UI was launched, the Project Blank UI was launched on May 1st. So it's been just over 12 months now. And for those, first 10, 11 months, we focused entirely on just pushing feature. And we knew that this technical debt was being built up. And obviously we were cleaning things, the massive bugs that were really impeding the experience, we would fix in real time. But we knew that this debt was kind of being built up. But in order to get the UI to where it is today as fast as possible, and to me, like the features we have right now are like all the core features I had in mind of like, this is like the basic building block of what Inleo should be. It took us 10 months of just solely focusing on features. And then finally, we got to the place where I was like, okay, we've got all the features I've really been wanting for a long time. Premium was kind of like the last notch in the belt that I wanted to see on the UI before we shifted over to focusing on bug fixes entirely. So that debt should be completely cleared away by the end of this month. And then we can get back to new features. And while we do those new features, obviously the debt being at 0 means that we can fix bugs as we go, rather than just let them pile up, for a later date.
IDK Somali is asking, are there any plans for the anniversary? Gonna bring back that last year, May 1st vibes?
Yeah, I want to do, we still have to work out the details, but there will be an event. I want to do kind of like a digital conference, essentially. So yeah, I'm going to work with Eric and the ops team, and we'll figure something out. And I want to have some presenters, from other projects on Hive. I'll talk about potentially getting like VSC, Vaultec from VSC to give a presentation, and some other Hivers to come out and give various presentations on what they're building on chain. So kind of turn it into like a little bit of like a Leo Fest type ordeal. But we'll do it digitally. And then maybe next year or something we can do like an in-person. I have a lot of ideas for doing an in-person crypto event that's hosted by Leo. So I think expect that we'll have some kind of digital virtual event on July 3rd of this year, and then perhaps next year we'll do something in person.
Big Van saying, sometimes I get pissed off because of bugs, but I hang on because I still believe that Rome wasn't built in a day. We'll get there soon. Yeah, this happens to me as well at some points. Like I'm trying to, for example, I don't know, send a post. And then since I was using Labs for most of the time, which is the platform where we do all the testing, then when you encounter things, you can get frustrated. But yes, as you say, Vic, it's important for us to remember that we are like I like to say, we're on the bleeding edge of technology right now here with blockchain and how front ends work. And if you look at other platforms that are decentralized social platforms, the features that we have right now are probably 20 times more robust and more there are 20 times more features than on any other social media platform that is blockchain based. So I just tell that to myself and I forget about the bugs. You know, it's hard, but it's worth it. Hang in there with us.
Yep. IDK Samad said we'd love to hear which one of the bugs was the most disturbing one to fix. Um, I would say, in recent memory, the most annoying one has been images. So it started out with us trying to fix bugs with our old image hoster, which was Imgur. We were trying to just fix bugs with it and keep using it. But then, we ultimately came to the conclusion that we had to ditch it altogether and rebuild the image solution from the ground up. And that was about, I want to say about 2 months ago. That we started working on that. So then we had to go out to AWS, rent a server, and start building an image hoster from scratch. So that's what we ultimately did. And now you obviously have images .inleo.io. So we have our own image hoster, and we work with AWS to have that. But that wasn't the end of the story because we built that and then we had to do, bug testing and bug fixes for the image hoster. And then over the past kind of like 3 weeks, we've done a lot of updates to how image hosting works. As part of those updates, we've increased the size of the images you guys can upload. We've increased the quality of the images overall. We've increased the compressor technology that we use. So it's been like it's almost been like building an entirely new project. But it's obviously something that's completely on the back end, something that you guys don't really see or interact with. So it's been like a total nightmare, and I don't even know how many hours have been poured into building, the current state of the image hoster. But I know that you guys, a lot of you guys that have used obviously images and uploaded images a lot, have obviously, seen the difference, I think. That the image hoster is a lot more reliable now, and the quality of images is a lot better, and you can upload bigger images, and you can do it from mobile and desktop, and it's gotten a lot better, I think, over the last couple of weeks. Hopefully, you guys have noticed. But like I said, it's kind of like we built like this whole project behind the scenes, so it was like a bug fix, but in reality, it was like building this whole new thing. And just the amount of man hours and resources that we had to put into that is pretty intense. So I would definitely say that has been the most annoying bug to fix.
Well, speaking of annoying, I'm amused by Morty's inner artist literally being offended by our backgrounds. Apparently, we need to let him create fresh when soon show backgrounds. His inner artist is offended.
Yeah, I mean the last background I've got says Leo Finance, so
I think, let me look. I'm pretty sure mine probably has. Yeah, Leo Finance, When Soon Show with the cats. This is the one. Boom. Hold on, my head blocked Leo Finance. Weekly When Soon Show.
I I do like the ones that Morty shared last week. I haven't DM you, man, but I will today. I promise. Get these backgrounds going. Um, they look awesome, man. He did one color per, like, I think I had green, Kyle had blue, Nifty had red, Kat had yellow, I think. I can't remember, but yeah, they were awesome. So sorry I didn't send you a DM. I will today. I
I have an
promise.
idea I want to run by everybody here. You guys, and then also everyone in the Threadcast. I've been thinking about a way to kind of separate premium users when they're in a Threadcast. So I have a few different ideas for that. But I kind of want to hear if you guys have any other ideas. One would be like changing the color of their name. So like right now, obviously everyone's like name is white. So like for example, for like Vic Van, his username is Vic Van and it's in gray. But then his like name is in white and it says Vic Van. Um, so I have an idea which would be to change that, but I think it might be too subtle. So another idea would be to change the background color of the thread itself. So like everyone's threads are obviously all uniform. But I basically just want premiums to kind of stand out in a thread cast. So if you guys have any ideas on how to do that, feel free to either drop a screenshot or just describe what you mean. And I'm trying to think of something to do in that regard.
I mean, right now the orange check mark is more obvious than like just kind of the example of different color name.
Yeah.
And
Uh,
you can see, I mean, and no surprise that the vast majority of people on the Threadcast are premium members, which makes sense because, you know, these are the people that are engaged and those are the type of people that are going to show up to an AMA. You know what I mean? Um, but yeah, I'd be curious to hear any ideas as well that kind of like trumps or adds to the orange check mark.
Yeah, I want to make it even more obvious than the orange check mark. And then also add a filter. So like right now you can filter by author or latest or what has the most rewards or the most replies using those toggles at the top. I want to add one that says premium or all essentially. So it'll show you either just the threads from premium people or obviously all the threads, whether they're premium or not.
Speaking, you know what? That's funny. So speaking of premium, and again, I don't know, we've talked about, I think, potential of notifications or things like that. I have no idea when my premium expired. Could have been an hour ago, could have been 3 days ago. But I just realized that I am currently not premium and I will not be for a few days because I was just looking and I have no liquid HBD. So I will be waiting 3 days to get some HBD to go premium again. Oops.
Yeah, two things on
I need
that
a
front. After we
chat
get
needs a reminder.
yeah, after we get bug free, the next stage, and I put out a thread yesterday talking about this, but the next stage of features is really going to be focused on premium users and adding some of the features that I have on the backlog specifically for premium. So one is going to be a 1 year subscription option. That's probably going to be one of the first things we build after May 31st.
I will buy that immediately just not to have to think about it every month.
Yeah. So that will go live. I don't think it'll take that long to build it. Obviously, we have to build like a separate rail for it on the Leo pool. So it's kind of there's a little bit of technical issues with doing that, but we're gonna figure it out. So I'd say probably sometime in June, but obviously we need to get bug free. I'm just like with the devs right now, I'm literally we talk about features and I'm like, I don't even want to talk about features. I want you to fix all the bugs. So that's where we're at right now. So we're gonna work on the 1 year subscription, and then the other thing I want to work on is a notification banner. If your premium is expiring, it would say like your premium is going to expire in 5 days, and then that banner would disappear, after you close it, and then like 24 hours before it expires, it'll pull up another banner. Your premium is going to expire tomorrow. And then when it is expired, it will say your premium has expired. Click here, and throughout all that, it'll say click here to renew. Um, so yeah, Ahmad Manga, there will be a discount on the 1 year subscription option. I don't know how big of a discount it'll be, but there will be one when it goes live. So not sure when it will be, but at some point we're going to push that live.
As far as the and I feel like I've seen people kind of comment similar ideas, but as far as the kind of um difference in someone being premium, not premium during a thread cast, I mean, you could literally do something as like around the username, kind of like how up top how with the thread cast, it's like it shows your icon, it's got like a purple circle around it and like the little lightning bolt or whatever. You could even do something to that extent where it's just like there's a like background around the person's name with like whatever, a shade of orange or something or whatever color, or like just something that makes it almost like look like their username glows, so to speak. Anything that's just like attention getting to the eye, similar to like what goes on with the when someone's doing a thread cast and they got the purple halo, so to speak.
Yeah, I think that's a good idea. Yeah, I see Morty also said something kind of similar, like where is it? Uh, outline the color of threads by premium. So like take the whole box of their thread and put an outline around it, maybe an orange outline or something. Um,
I thought about that too. Yeah, kind of almost like make their thread almost have like that outline slash glow
right.
to it.
I think that's probably the way we'll do it. I just want them to stand out a little bit more. Um, so
No doubt.
I have a few ideas for that. I'm part of a basket weaving meme website. Uh, I actually found, I don't know if people, like someone in the audience remembers 9gag around 2012. That was a meme page when there were a lot of like back then we only had the rage faces. We didn't have memes. And I found out about the predecessor of 9gag, and they use a lot of things like this, like the one you mentioned, Carl, to highlight users who came before the Reddit exodus, users who have been supporting the website for more than, I don't know, 3 years, whatever, things like that. And they do a very good job with that. So I'll poke around. I'm sure I'll find
okay.
something.
Yeah, definitely let me know. I'm looking for more ways to make premium stand out and not just in Threadcasts, but everywhere. Just to make them stand out even more.
Yeah.
Because the beauty of standing out, on these other platforms, like a lot of people will donate or subscribe or be premium or whatever. I think Twitch is a really good example too. A lot of people will subscribe so that they get like the icon and they show that they're a supporter and whatnot. And a lot of people will do that just for the clout alone, just to say that they are and show that they are on the website. So on these Web2 platforms, the clout alone is enough to get these people to subscribe and pay monthly. Um, so obviously we want to make sure that we're not only matching that but exceeding it in terms of clout. But the beauty of Web3 and what Inleo has is that by having more clout, you're also more susceptible to getting upvotes. So you actually like, by having more clout, you're actually getting a very real, tangible reward in exchange for more clout as well. So it's kind of like an exponential like value proposition, which is like you get more clout just like on a Web2 platform, but then that clout actually can earn you more rewards just because of the way the economics work of Web3 versus Web2.
Yeah, yeah, 100%. Like right now, for example, on any other platform, all we get from these little check mark is that you get a little bit more exposure and that's it. But people don't really make money out of this. And like you were mentioning in the at the beginning of the show, these decentralized DeSo and SocialFi platforms, they all rely on how can you reward your users, and Inleo excels in that aspect. So it's only a matter of letting people know that we actually do what we promise we will do. There's a little bit of controversy right now because there's I'm gonna call it the new Frentech, because it's just that, it's just a fade. And it's gonna die out in a few weeks, if not days. But they say, oh, people are gonna earn thousands of dollars, and people like all of these people who are supposedly receiving rewards haven't received anything, and it's been more than enough time for people to actually get those rewards. So we do what we say we will. So only a matter of time.
Yeah, there's a very big difference between, and this is why I hesitate sometimes to call Inleo social fi, because I think there is a kind of stigma being built around these, these platforms that have been coming and going and selling like this ticket system for social fi. So when you say social fi to like the average crypto Twitter user, they think of Friendtech and Stars Arena and all these kind of fad platforms that came and went. And and we kind of have to build over that noise, and talk to them about how Inleo has been around for 5 years, and we don't have like this selling a ticket system, which is essentially just like a Ponzi scheme to make money for influencers. We have a whole different economy, and that economy has been operating for 5 years, and people are earning rewards, and there's an actually like real business model being built with premium. And I know I keep hammering in on how important premium is, but I've talked with a lot of different people in this space, and I think one of the things that gets them most excited is seeing a crypto, going back to the conversation that started this AMA, seeing a startup that is cash flow positive and generating more value than it's burning is really valuable in the traditional tradfi space. Like when you look at just a regular startup, that's what a lot of investors are looking for these days, is like, does this startup have the ability to get cash flow positive, and how soon can they get cash flow positive? Is it like a legitimate business model that can actually work? Is it actually feasible? So that's happening already in the traditional startup space. And I think that narrative has already started to trickle into crypto, and I think it's only going to get more and more important. And with Leo and Leo Premium, I think we finally have the ability to monetize the platform and build an economy that is like provably sustainable. So, when investors look at the Leo token, when people come in and look at what we're building here as a startup, I think it's really important that we show that premium is a model that actually works, and that the Inleo ecosystem is actually able to reach cash flow positive. And if it's not cash flow positive already, then it needs to at least have like a path that is feasible to get cash flow positive. So I think when you looked at what we had before premium, we were basically relying on this idea that one day the page views would generate enough ad revenue that the Leo token would be, the Leo token economy would be cash flow positive. And that, that experiment kind of didn't play out the way I expected it to. I expected that we would earn a lot more from ads than we ultimately did. So, premium has really changed my mind on that. I mean, we're earning 10 times more from premium than we ever did on ads. At peak ad revenue, we're earning way more from premium. So I know I keep hammering in on premium, and it's like my middle name now is just to say premium all the time, but it is really important to have a business model that's sustainable and to have a path to profitability if we want to get more people from the outside coming into the Inleo ecosystem.
Yeah, and we have spoken about this in the past, but for those who don't have it so clear, the moment we have 1,000 premium users, that means that there's $10,000 buying Hive and Leo on a regular basis. And if you look at how big the market cap of Leo is, just do the math. Imagine $10,000 flowing in every single month, buying the token. I mean, it's a no-brainer, right?
It's the flywheel effect that we've been talking about, very intensely for the last, I mean, for a long time, but especially for the last couple of weeks. The flywheel effect of both premium and Leo decks basically just absorbing value. Leo decks obviously, capturing value from cross-chain trading, and then premium capturing value, by monetizing the Inleo platform. These two things in conjunction are just capturing value and then deploying that value as permanent liquidity in that Leo cacao pool. So it's the the value of permanent liquidity is really understated, especially given the way that the Leo ecosystem is built, where it captures value based on trading volume on Leo decks, not just for Maya assets, but also for the Hive aggregated assets. It's capturing 3-to-1 value. So because when something's traded across the Hive aggregator, it's traded into two different Leo pools, and then the arbitrage has to come back to ultimately even that back out. So $1 of trading volume actually turns into $3 worth of Leo pool trading volume. And Leo as a startup ecosystem captures value from every single dollar that's traded across those rails. So by creating permanent liquidity, what you're doing is you're creating an effect where bigger trades, bigger swaps can happen over the long term. And the bigger the swap, obviously, the more the fees come in for the Leo token, which then funds more permanent liquidity. And that's why we call it a flywheel. So I think that is kind of in its early stages of being seen. Obviously, premiums are at 235 right now. So that's $2,350 per month that's getting permanently pooled. So obviously half of that is buying Leo, half of that is converting from HBD to Hive to cacao, and then it's pooling it permanently. So seeing that grow from 235 premiums to 1,000 is going to be a major focus for us, especially once we come out of this bug-free, by May 31st environment.
Well, the good news is that number continually, for the most part, grows month to month, most of the time. So if that trend continues, it's just a matter of time. But obviously, everyone would like to get to 1,000 as fast as possible. Fish asked a good question in relation to that and said, do you guys collect feedback from people who do not prolong their subscriptions? Because I guess, those people do exist. And I'm guessing no, but that's probably not the worst idea to maybe just ping some of those people just to get feedback on why they didn't continue.
Yeah, so one of the things that I've been doing, not on a regular basis, and obviously I would like to do it more, is whenever someone comes, like they subscribe and 15 days pass without the resubscription, I just go on and say and drop a comment on their latest post. Hey, I see that you're premium and you haven't renewed. Did something happen? Did like whatever? And some people are pissed because, oh, I got premium and I was expecting to earn $10,000. And I went, well, I cannot help you with that. But there are other people who have that, like there's actual feedback. And I don't want to go back to the bugs part, but most of them were like, oh yes, but I couldn't post from Inleo, so I had to use another front end. I will try in a few months, etc., etc. But in general, there hasn't been anyone who says, oh, I didn't like premium. So,
Well, that's good.
yeah.
I mean, at the end of the day, it's a win if most of the reasons are kind of like not value add, so to speak, like things in terms of feedback that can be used to improve the user experience, that's technically actually a win. That, most of them are just either because of a bug issue or because their expectations were, unrealistic. I think it's actually a good thing, based on the feedback you've gotten.
Yeah, we thrive on feedback at all levels. So, if you have feedback about premium, use the hashtag feedback tag. Um,
Yes.
yeah, I mean, whether it's a bug, whether it's a request for a feature, whether it's a gripe that you have with premium that you think we should work on and improve, using that hashtag is really important because what you're doing is you're just kind of segmenting your feedback into a place where I check every single day. And then I kind of backlog things or I put them to the top of the list if I think that we need to focus on them right away. So I can't stress enough how important that hashtag feedback tag is. Just to get, if you want to get a message to the team and say, I wish this was better, that's the best way to do it. There really isn't a better way to do it. And then Taskmaster mentioned that it would be good to highlight the added ROI on high power delegation to Leo.voter for premium members. So yeah, if you're premium, and then you choose the staked option from the dashboard when you're delegating to Leo.voter, it actually increases your APR from 12% to 16% for your delegation. So you have to be both premium and choose the staked option, and then you earn a higher APR. So it's kind of an interesting the way that I designed that is kind of an interesting value proposition because by delegating to Leo.voter, you're actually supporting your Hive Power then is used to curate premium users who create good content on the website. So by delegating Hive Power, you're supporting more potential premiums. And then if you're a delegator and you want to earn more rewards, you're actually incentivized to also be premium yourself, which gives you kind of basically like a stake in the success of Leo, the Leo token economy in general. And then obviously your delegation is then paying you out staked Leo, which gives you yet another incentive for Leo to perform well, because your payments are obviously made in Leo. So if the price of Leo goes up, then your 16% APR on Hive Power obviously increases. Like if you just, all else being equal, if you delegate to Leo.voter for a year and you're premium and you choose staked, you're earning 16% paid daily to your account. And then let's say that the price of Leo 2x is relative to the price of Hive over that year. And again, a lot of things being equal, just to make the math simple, that would mean that you're earning 32% APR instead of 16%. So it's an interesting kind of circular economy that we've built where being a delegator means that you should probably also be premium and choose the staked option. And by doing those two things, you're also incentivized for the Leo ecosystem to perform well, which means maybe you should be active on threads. Maybe you should be actively curating, making blog posts, encouraging people to go premium. Doing all of those things actually benefits you in terms of your delegation. So it's just this very like positive feedback loop that we've built. And it's a relatively new model. So I'm glad Taskmaster mentioned that we should talk about it because the model has kind of evolved over the years. I mean, that delegation model has been in place for basically since the beginning of Leo, but it's really evolved as the years have gone on. And the current state of it is the best it's ever been because now not only is the model different on the back end, but we actually have like a whole API that we built for it. And then we've got the dashboard UI. So there's a whole front end for managing your delegation and seeing your APR. So it's evolved to a very good place. I'm very happy with the current state of it. And we actually are coming up with a few more upgrades to the system. So we're introducing some new features to the API that will further improve it and incentivize people to be long-term stakers. So very happy with how things are now, and it'll only improve from here in terms of the delegations. And we're up to 4.7 million Hive Power delegated to Leo.voter, which is pretty insane. I think it's grown a lot since the latest updates we made with the dashboard. So in the past like 8 or 9 weeks, it grew. I think like 9 weeks ago, it was like 2.5 million or something. So it's basically doubled in the last 2 months. So definitely happy with the progress on that. And I think we're trending, I've been watching it and it's been slowly growing every single day. I think we're trending towards obviously 5 million is going to be here pretty soon. And I think we could see 10 million hive power on Leo.voter. And all that hive power just means that all the premium users on Inleo, all the active people on threads and active people on blog posts are earning more rewards. So ultimately a very positive feedback loop for the ecosystem.
There's some questions that we should definitely touch on because I guess, sometimes the knowledge is not as widespread as we think. So I saw someone ask if LeoDex is only for premium users, which we know the answer to that is no. LeoDex is for anyone on the planet that wants to use it and swap crypto. Um, Also, they asked about how to go about providing liquidity on LeoDex, and there are tutorials for that. I'm pretty sure Nifty created videos, right?
Yeah, Nifty made some videos, and I also made some videos as well. So let me they're all on the docs, but I'll link you the tutorial specifically for how to pool. So I did videos and I did written posts, and it's all in the docs. And then Nifty's tutorials are also in there as well for various aspects of using LeoDex.
Nice.
So I just dropped a link for how to pool Leo and Cacao. It's very,
Speaking
very
of-
And speaking of that, it's worth mentioning that we, for the last couple of weeks, have been really thinking about the geyser for the Wrap Leo ETH pool. So if you don't know, a percentage of Leo's inflation is paid out to WLEO-ETH liquidity providers. And this is kind of it's kind of an old school Leo mechanic that has been around obviously for the last, I think we listed on Uniswap like 4 years ago now. No, not 4, maybe 3 years ago. 3 or 4 years ago, I don't remember. It was either 2020 or 2021. We listed on Uniswap, and then we built the WLEO Geyser to incentivize liquidity providers. So that mechanism is something that we've been thinking a lot about because the WLEO ETH pool doesn't actually have that much value for us. Obviously in the early days when the Geyser was built, it had a lot of value because it was the only liquidity pool for Leo. Actually, even diesel pools didn't exist yet on Hive. So there were literally no liquidity. We went from having 0 listings externally and 0 liquidity pools at all to having the WLEO ETH pool. So this is kind of an archaic mechanism that's obviously existed for a long time. And I think that it's time to update it and move it somewhere that it creates more value, because I was talking a little bit about the value capture of LeoDex and the Hive aggregation technology we've built. And that does not apply to the WLEO ETH pool. There's very little trading volume on that pool, really, if any. And the only value it brings these days is that it ties the price of Leo to Ethereum. But I actually think Cacao will most likely outperform Ethereum in the long run. And I believe Rune will as well. So I think that the value prop of paying a percentage of Leo inflation to have this WLEO ETH pool is not really there anymore. Obviously, it was built at a time when there weren't any other AMMs, there weren't any other liquidity pools available for Leo, and now we've got several liquidity pools. We've got the Leo Hive pool, we've got the Leo BNB pool, we've got the Leo Matic pool, and then I think the most important pool that we have is the Leo Cacao pool on LeoDex, which obviously builds the value capture model of Leo and the flywheel. So I think it makes a lot of sense to move that geyser entirely over to Leo Cacao. So we've been putting a lot of thought into that recently, and I'm hoping that this week we'll have some movement on that.
Yeah, and I just wanted to mention that back when you were mentioning about how all of the things that can be done with the Leo token, I think that's pretty much what what most projects in crypto want or strive to do, which is to provide use cases and utility to the native token. So people want to get the native token, etc. So, and we have that. So I know I also sound like a broken record, but we have that. We are just on the verge of people finding out what we offer, and then just aping in and seeing all of the value that we actually have. So we just need to push it out there.
Absolutely. Yeah, when you look at the Leo economy, and I'll drop a link of that too. It's also in the docs for Leo Dex. And the reason why I'm dropping the one from because there's also one in the Inleo docs, but I think the one in the Leo Dex docs was written kind of for the external person, not within the Hive ecosystem. Specifically, it was meant to give like a very quick and brief overview of the Leo token, and we made like a nice little graphic for it. But when you look at all the ways that Leo can capture value, and it's listed on this page I just dropped in the threadcast. When you look at the tokenomics of Leo and the way that it can capture value, I think we have a really unique setup for the Leo token. And really and again, we were talking in the pre-show and then at the beginning of this about, when Leo to the moon. And, obviously you can't predict the way that, a startup is valued or, the token performance. Sometimes the market doesn't match the technology and what's being built. But ultimately, the growth of Leo is going to come from adoption of the technology that we've built. And I think we've built some really incredible technology with Inleo, Premium, and Leo Dex, and the Hive aggregation technology. These pieces of technology that we've built and these products that we've built, gaining adoption for them and scaling up is what is ultimately going to capture value into the Leo token. So, my focus right now is really to get it's really to build the best products that we can build. So that's, Inleo and Leo Dex being the two big products that we have, making the best products possible and then gaining a user base and scaling that user base up is ultimately what's going to bring value to the Leo token economy. So I think that page does a really good job of just briefly explaining how Leo can capture value on all these different fronts.
Uh, Vic, Vic's asking, I haven't really understood the liquidity process on Leo Dex. I need help on this. The liquidity works as any other liquidity pool on DeFi, on modern DeFi. So I'm pretty sure that you can find with our search engine that doesn't censor anything. You can find something that explains it perfectly. But if you don't, just send me a message and I'll explain you how liquidity works.
Yeah, it like Eric said, it works very similar to pretty much every AMM out there. The key difference is that when you pool Leo and Cacao, you're pooling across multiple blockchains. So there's some nuance there in terms of the way that the AMM for Maya works. And obviously it's the same model as Thorchain. But when you're pooling Leo and Cacao, you're actually sending two transactions on two different blockchains at the same time. So it's actually really fascinating. I recommend doing, and the fees are extremely low because Leo on Maya is on the Arbitrum blockchain. And fees on Arbitrum are like fractions of a penny. So the fees are very cheap on Arbitrum and the fees are very cheap on Maya for the Cacao asset. So I highly recommend just like if you want to play around and learn this technology, which I always think is a good thing to do in this space. Take like $5 or $10 and just like wrap the Leo from Leo to Arbitrum Leo, and then use Leo Dex to swap half of it into Cacao and then pool it, or find a way to get Cacao otherwise, if you don't want to sell the Leo. And then just try pooling it and see how all that technology works and do it with a small amount. I think you can do it with as little as like $7 or $8, I think is like the minimum swap value that you can do. So, give it a shot and just try to learn about this space because, like I said, I don't think cross-chain dexes are going anywhere. I think the only place that they're going is that they're going to gain more and more adoption from centralized exchanges. So, learning this technology sooner than later is probably going to be to your own benefit.
Mod Manga asked about posting feedback about Leo decks using the feedback tag, and I would assume the answer is yes.
Yep.
Use the feedback tag.
Any feedback about anything Leo related, you can use hashtag feedback. You can even
And
tell us
even
how
things,
good of a job we're doing. You can be positive too.
there you go.
Either way.
Feedback, pat on the back, hashtag.
Some days I could use it, that's for sure.
Right on. Well, we've been going over a good hour now.
Um, yeah, I mean, we've been reading off the questions, so I feel like we're pretty well caught up. I don't know if you guys have seen anything that we haven't addressed.
Nope. Oh, no, I don't think so.
Someone asked, I think it was, I thought I lost it. Vince asked how much is in the Leo Cacao liquidity pool on Maya. I'll drop you a link where you can track it. Let's see, I had it minimized. There's about $105,000 in there right now, which I was talking to the team earlier today, is pretty low. My expectations were that we would see a lot more liquidity in there, which is obviously why we're looking at moving the geyser there, because I think a lot of people are just waiting for like rewards of some kind. Obviously, there's already APR, and actually, if you go to that page, it'll tell you the current APR for being an LP is 1.96%, and that fluctuates. Sometimes it's higher, sometimes it's lower. It's all based on trading volume. So there's already rewards based on just organic trading volume, and I think that's going to increase a lot as people start using the Hive aggregation technology. But once we add the geyser, I'm kind of hoping and assuming that there's going to be a lot more LPs that enter the Leo Cacao pool. Right now, I think I have about $90,000 in that pool, so I am basically 85 or 90% of all the liquidity in the Leo Cacao pool. So it's been it's been a little disappointing that we haven't seen more liquidity enter the pool. I think there's a mixture of people don't have a lot of exposure to things like Maya and Thorchain and how these cross-chain dexes work, and various other things. But we're going to move the geyser over and hopefully see a lot of LPs start to put liquidity in that Leo Cacao pool, both from the Leo side and from the Maya side. We're going to start really advertising that to various communities within the Maya ecosystem itself, because we'll be one of the few, if not only pools. I think there might be one or two other pools on Maya that actually have rewards of any kind outside of the base trading fees. So we'll definitely start pushing that to the Maya user base as well.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see what happens with the APR as things become more robust.
Yeah, I mean the Hive aggregator that we've built, the UI for it, I don't know if you haven't used it in the last week, I'd highly recommend trying it because the UI was, radically improved. It's completely overhauled. And we've basically just been making continual progress on making it better, smoother, faster, cooler, really just better in every way. So the aggregation, technology for these Hive swaps has been really improving. And then now we also have SPS and DEC. HBD is going to get listed soon as well. So, the seeing more volume on this aggregator is going to lead to a lot more trading fees and rewards, both for the Leo Hive LPs on the Hive blockchain, as well as the Leo Cacao LPs on the Maya blockchain. So, the aggregator is really important, not only for value capture, but also for the LPs as well. Like I said earlier, every dollar that is traded on the Hive aggregator equals $3 worth of trading volume on the Leo Cacao and the Leo swap.hive pools. So it is, you know, the rewards that can be earned there are exponential if we start to see like some real trading volume flow in.
Caleb Marvel is asking for fee. He's been trying to pay for fees on Leo decks, but it's not working. You know, guys, one of the things that's well, it's pretty important for anyone to know that the Discord server it also serves for bug reports related to Leo decks. So we basically have now Inleo and Leo decks living on top of the Inleo project, so to speak, or company. But anything related to Leo decks, the Discord server serves the same purposes as within Leo. So just ask around. If nobody has the answer, you can ask in the you can open a support ticket.
Yep, absolutely. Yeah, and this was a good point too, and we can wrap up after this because I think it's the last kind of question or statement. Ahmad Manga says, you'll see more liquidity from me over time, probably not as much as the liquidity provided by premium users, though. The reason why I wanted to mention that is it's kind of interesting to think about that. As you know, being premium, the value proposition is that you are getting all these premium features. You're also getting more rewards on your blog posts and your threads. And your premium subscription is actually being paid to Leo Pool, which is then permanently buying Leo and Cacao and pooling it. So it's actually, you know, kind of the way he worded that was why I wanted to bring it up. He said probably not as much as the liquidity provided by premium users, because by being premium, you're actually kind of proxy providing liquidity permanently into that pool because your entire 10 HBD that gets sent to the Leo pool account is getting pooled as Leo Cacao. So it is it's an interesting way to frame it that by being premium, you're getting all these premium features, you're getting more rewards on your content, and then you're also basically community pooling into the Leo Cacao pool. So kind of an interesting, you know, kind of mental framework you can use to think about it. But yeah, I think that catches us up in the Threadcast. We've been going for a little over an hour and a half now. So Mitch, Eric, any closing words from you guys?
I don't think so. I think we're more than covered.
Yeah, we covered a lot today. I think it was very good, informative. When soon?
Yeah. I think the key takeaways are when and soon. So
When the
Sunseeker.
question is, when will you get premium? For
Yeah,
those that
right.
do not have.
Yeah, whenever anyone asks me when, I'm gonna say when premium. Um so Sunseeker is in charge of the video clips, so I'm sure she will get some good clips out of this one. We had some really good segments talking about various things from crypto markets to all of the Inleo things. That's a pretty cool logo. Morty just posted in the Threadcast. That's kind of
Oh,
cool.
wow.
I kind of like that.
Yeah.
Actually, that gives me an idea for something on the UI. I'm gonna save that real quick. I'm gonna bookmark that. And if you didn't know, part of your premium feature set is that you have bookmark folders. So you can create
Nice.
folders and put your bookmarks in them. So for example, I have an ideas folder and I just put it in there.
Trying to make me all organized and stuff.
Yep. Sweet. Well, thanks, Mitch. Thanks, Eric. We'll see about getting Nifty on and doing a true four-person roundtable next week for the AMA. Everyone say happy birthday to the cat, belated.
Ah,
And we will see everybody for the May 28th AMA.
rock and roll.
Let's go. See you guys.
See you guys.
Later.
Peace.